What if I told you that her walking away wasn't a mistake? It was her underestimating the man you're about to become. She thought you'd chase. She thought you'd crumble. Maybe, for a while, you did. But pain has a strange way of turning into fuel if you let it. And today that fuel becomes fire. The betrayal, the manipulation, the cold calculations she made, that wasn't your downfall. It was your awakening. Because the greatest revenge isn't anger, it's transformation. Growth is the greatest response. Mastery is the final move. Right now, you're standing at the edge. You can stay broken or rebuild into someone so powerful, so unrecognizable, that you won't know whether to regret or fear losing you forever. Now, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I rise through every test. Let's begin. Number 1. Let pain shape you, not define you. Right now, you're hurting. No one sees it, maybe no one even knows it, but inside you something's cracked. The silence after she walked away isn't just quiet, it echoes. You try to hold it in, seem strong, and carry on like you're unfazed, but pretending to be unbreakable only delays the moment you must face what's real. You've been wounded. And it's okay, because what Stoicism teaches is not to feel nothing, it's to feel fully, without being ruled by it. The world has trained you to equate masculinity with control, with indifference, with having it all together, but the real strength isn't about shutting off the pain. It's about looking it dead in the eye and saying, you can come in, but you're not staying. Pain is part of the human condition. It's not a weakness. It's proof that you dared to feel something meaningful. What matters now is what you do with it. Most men run. They numb themselves with distraction. New women, old habits, empty noise. But the Stoic path isn't to escape. It's to stand firm. Let this pain cut you open. Not to destroy, but to reshape. Like fire-hardened steel, this moment is your forge. You are being reforged in real time. And the man who emerges won't just have survived heartbreak, he'll have used it. Don't hide from it. Sit with it. Let the pain teach you what kind of man you want to be when no one is watching. Let it show you what stillness really means. Not silence, but the clarity of knowing you don't need to run anymore. You've met the worst of it, and you're still here. Breathing, becoming. And here's the paradox. Once you stop resisting the pain, it loses its grip. It stops being this dark, suffocating presence and becomes something else entirely. A kind of quiet fuel. Not rage, not revenge, just purpose. Quiet, focused, unshakable purpose. So don't flinch, don't fold. Feel it all and walk forward anyway. Because in time the pain that once broke you will become the exact thing that built your edge. And when that happens, when you're no longer afraid of the scar, you'll realize it was never about her, it was about becoming you. Leave your past with honor and comment below. I felt the pain, but I chose the path. Number 2. Emotional detachment isn't cold, it's clarity. She expected you to break, to react with rage, desperation, or anything. That would tell her she still holds the strings. Maybe that's what you used to do. Maybe you used to call, text, and try to fix what couldn't be fixed. You thought emotion was power, that expressing it, unleashing it, made you real. But all it did was hand her the control. And now, as you sit in silence, holding back everything you once gave away so freely, something begins to shift. This isn't bitterness. This isn't revenge. This is clarity. Stoicism doesn't ask you to stop caring. It asks you to stop depending, to separate what you feel from what you choose to act on. That's emotional detachment, not indifference, but discipline. And right now, you're learning that silence is a message louder than any words you could say. She expected fireworks. Instead, you became a mountain, unmoving, calm, distant. That stillness is your shield, because the moment you stopped reacting, you stopped bleeding value. She doesn't get to define you anymore. not through her praise and not through her absence. She's waiting for a signal that she still matters more than your peace, but all she finds is the emptiness left by her own decision. And that emptiness? That's not your burden. That's the space you've created to breathe again finally. When you detach, you reclaim your emotional sovereignty. You step out of the game completely. You stop chasing explanations, stop hoping for closure. You let her live with her choices, and you live with your discipline. That's the difference. This silence unsettles her, not because it's cruel, but because it's unshakable. Most men crumble, you don't. Most men scream, you stay still. Most men beg for understanding, you've already understood. It's over, and that's enough. That subtle defiance, that refusal to dance to the same emotional rhythm, makes you unforgettable. Not because you're playing games, but because you finally stopped playing at all. You don't need to speak to be heard. Your stillness speaks volumes. Your absence isn't punishment, it's the first act of true power. Let her wonder, let her reach into silence and find nothing but the man she once overlooked, now untouchable. If you've chosen peace over performance, comment below. I protect my peace, nothing else holds the reins. Number 3, stop the chase. Let her feel the empty space. You used to fill every gap. A late reply, you'd double text. A vague excuse, you'd explain it away. She pulled back and you leaned in harder because somewhere deep inside you believed that effort could substitute for respect, that chasing her louder would convince her to stay, but it never worked. All it did was prove one thing: she had your full attention and she didn't have to earn it. And that's where everything started to erode, because people don't cherish what's always available, they respect what requires effort, presence, and investment. The moment you became predictable, she stopped being curious. The moment you became constant, she stopped feeling your value. And the truth is, your chase didn't bring her closer, it pushed her further away. So now you stop. Not out of anger, not to punish, but because you finally understand that your energy is sacred, that chasing isn't proof of love, it's proof of imbalance. The Stoics didn't chase emotions or outcomes, they stood firm in themselves and let the world adjust. You are not meant to orbit around someone who doesn't even see your gravity. When you pull away, a new silence appears, one she's not used to, a space where your presence used to live. At first she may not notice, then she might pretend not to care, but eventually the absence will echo. Not because you forced her to miss you, but because she finally has to feel what life is like without your energy softening the edges of her world. And the irony? When you stop chasing, you become magnetic. Not because you've become colder, but because you've recentered. And that calm, focused, unbothered energy, that's what's rare. You're not reacting, you're not watching, you're not waiting. You've stepped away from the table entirely, and now the game no longer plays the same. Let her wonder why the message is stopped. Let her feel the quiet where validation used to be. Let her memory do the chasing now, because the second you stop feeding the illusion that she was the prize, she has to confront the truth. It was you all along. If you've finally reclaimed your direction, comment below. I don't chase, I create distance. Worth feeling. Number 4, don't react, respond with intent. She pulls back. Maybe it's subtle, a slower reply, a colder tone, a little less warmth each time, or maybe it's abrupt, a sudden silence, an unexpected goodbye, and your mind, trained by instinct and emotion, screams for action. You want to say something, fix something, fight for something, but the more you feel that urge to react, the more you need to stop, because reaction is surrender. It's handing her the keys to your emotional center and saying, "Here, drive." The Stoics taught that reaction is the first step toward being ruled by another. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And right now, every quick text, every emotional reply, every late-night message you want to send, it's not strength. It's proof that your peace still depends on her behavior. She expects that. In fact, on some level, she counts on it. Because when you react emotionally, you reinforce her power. You validate her role as the center of your focus. But when you choose to pause, to think, to reflect, to act only when it benefits your long game, everything changes. You stop being predictable, you stop being easy to read, and suddenly the dynamic shifts. This is not about playing cold, it's about playing long. You don't fire back, you observe, you let the silence breathe. You let your next move be one that comes from clarity, not chaos. And if that move is silence, then let it be complete. Not passive aggression, not icy distance, just peace. The kind of peace that doesn't need to be defended, explained, or proven. Because nothing unsettles someone more than a man who no longer reacts, a man who doesn't rush to clarify, justify, or win back. A man who knows that his response or his stillness is always under his command. That kind of control is rare, and rare always draws attention. She may wait for the outburst, for the guilt message, for the apology you don't owe. But when none of it comes, when all she hears is silence wrapped in calm, she begins to rethink everything. Not because you made her, but because you didn't need to. If you've learned to pause where you once would have pleaded, comment below. I don't react, I master the moment. Number 5. Grow quietly, let your progress speak loudest. You've been working, maybe not perfectly, maybe not always with confidence, but something inside you shifted. You stopped explaining yourself. Stopped posting for her attention, stopped waiting for her to notice, and now, beneath the silence, something solid is forming. You're building, alone, unnoticed, but not unintentional. That's the beauty of this part of the journey. No one claps, no one sees it coming, but it's the most important part, the rebuilding that happens in the dark when the spotlight is gone. The Stoics knew that applause is a trap. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." And right now, sanity means keeping your head down and your soul steady. You don't need to show her anything. Not the new gym routine, not the new career wins, not the book you started reading or the cold showers you take at dawn. You don't need to make her regret. That was never the point. The point is to become a man you no longer recognize, a version so sharp, so focused, so centered that even her memory doesn't have a grip on you anymore. She may hear about the changes, she may scroll past you one day and pause longer than expected, she may feel the shift. But that's not the reward, that's the echo. The reward is waking up and realizing you've changed, not just your habits but your standards. You've stopped seeking approval. You've stopped announcing your glow-up. You've learned the art of letting evolution speak for itself. Because when change is real, it doesn't shout. It arrives slowly, steadily, like the tide. And when people finally notice, you're already far beyond the version of yourself they remember. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it permanent. You're not doing this to win her back. You're doing it because you've finally decided to win yourself. The body, the mind, the mission, it all belongs to you now. And no one needs to know about it until they do. If you've chosen the silent path of transformation, comment below. I grow in silence. My results make the noise. Number 6. Redefine yourself outside of her story. She left, and with her went more than just the relationship. She took the narrative. The version of you she created, too emotional, too distant, not enough of this, too much of that. Maybe she never said those words directly, but her actions, her departure, her silence, they filled in the blanks. And somewhere along the way, you started believing her version. You let her lens become your mirror. You let her opinion become your definition. But here's the truth most men never admit. We all want to be understood. We all want someone to look at us and get us. And when someone we love turns away, it's not just loss. It feels like invalidation. It feels like who we were wasn't worthy of staying. And that lie sticks. It embeds in the way you speak to yourself, in the doubts that creep in during quiet moments. But she doesn't get to write your story, not anymore. She left, and with that choice, she forfeited her authorship. The Stoics would remind you, other people's opinions are none of your concern. You must become the narrator now. Not by rewriting the past, but by reclaiming the pen and choosing what this next chapter will say about you, not about. She may have told herself a version of why she left. That you didn't have direction, that you weren't what she needed, maybe that you weren't enough. But that story, that's hers. It might have helped her sleep, helped her walk away, but it's not yours to carry. And the more you cling to her narrative, the further you drift from your own. So write it again, not through words, but through action, through who you're becoming. Let every disciplined decision, every new standard, every inch of forward motion be a line in the story only you get to tell. Let your life say, I was misunderstood, but I never stayed that way. And here's the thing, when she sees you again, if she ever does, she won't recognize the man in front of her. And that's not revenge, that's evolution. She'll realize she left a chapter unfinished, but you'll have already written the ending, with or without her. If you've stopped letting someone else write your story, comment below. I'm the author now. My story begins with me. Number 7. Make yourself scarce. Let absence carry your value. She once had full access to you, your time, your thoughts, your affection. You were there, fully present, completely available. You believed that love meant showing up constantly, that by being consistent, by being emotionally open, you were giving her something worth staying for. But what you didn't see, what most men miss, is this. What's always within reach is rarely valued. You didn't lose her because you lacked love. You lost her because you forgot the value of mystery, of space, of scarcity. And now that she's gone, now that you've finally pulled away, something unexpected happens. She feels the quiet. Not the kind of silence that punishes, but the kind that creates reflection. People don't miss presence, they miss absence. They don't crave what they can predict, they crave what they have to question. And now that your energy no longer floods her world, she's left with a gap only your former presence can explain. That space, that's the value she never had to consider before, because back then you gave yourself too freely. You offered your emotional gold for the price of attention. But Stoicism teaches us to conserve what matters. Your time, your focus, your effort, their currency. And now you're done handing them out like spare change. You've retreated, not out of spite, but out of principle. Not to play games, but to reclaim your center. She'll feel it, slowly, subtly. The moments she once dismissed now return in waves. The way you used to speak, the reliability of your presence, the calm you brought into her chaos. She might not say it, she might never admit it, but the emptiness will speak louder than your presence ever did. And here's the shift. You're no longer trying to be missed. You're building a life that doesn't require being remembered. The man you're becoming doesn't chase after closeness. He cultivates distance with dignity. And that space isn't just for her, it's for you. To protect your peace, to fuel your growth, to make sure that next time anyone who gets close knows they're stepping into rare company. Because scarcity creates value, and now your value isn't something she can touch whenever she wants. If you've stopped giving your presence away for free, comment below. I choose distance, not to disappear, but to define my worth. Number 8. Purpose over people. Let mission become your center. There comes a point where you get tired, not from missing her, but from orbiting a memory. You feel the weight of it, dragging through your days like a shadow that never lifts. At first, you think it's love, that maybe the ache means it was real, but the truth is simpler and harsher. You've built your emotional center around a person who is no longer there. You've made her absence the axis of your attention. But what if you stopped? What if, instead of asking how to win her back, you asked a better question? What am I building that matters more than her memory? Because here's what the Stoics knew. When a man is guided by purpose, not people, he becomes immovable, anchored, dangerous in the best way. His actions no longer depend on who stays or who leaves. His mission becomes the gravity holding everything together. Right now, your life might feel scattered. You wake up checking your phone, scrolling through old memories, wondering if she still thinks about you, but none of that builds you. None of it sharpens you. It only drains you inch by inch. And the reason you can't move forward isn't because she's unforgettable. It's because you haven't pointed yourself towards something greater. Choose something bigger, a project, a vision, a discipline. Not as distraction, but as devotion. Pour into it like you once poured into her. Make your routine sacred. Make your improvement a promise. Let your ambition be the new love story. The one that doesn't leave, doesn't flake, doesn't ghost. The one that makes you a man too focused to fall apart. And when you do this, something shifts. You stop waiting for her to notice. You stop needing anyone's recognition, because you're building something real, something that outlasts affection, something that doesn't beg to be seen. She might circle back, she might watch from a distance, but by then it won't matter, because the man you're becoming doesn't need her validation. He's fueled by something deeper. That's the freedom Stoicism offers. To care without clinging, to feel without falling, to love without losing yourself. And the moment you put mission over memory, you begin to rise. If you've stopped centering your life around someone else, comment below. I don't chase love, I build legacy. Number 9. Let her regret without you, softening the fall. She may not say it, not today, not tomorrow, maybe not ever, but that sinking feeling, the one that creeps in late at night, the questions that linger in silence, it's already started. Regret doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it arrives like a whisper, like an emptiness where your presence used to be. And here's the part most men never get to. You don't have to witness it for it to be real. You want to reach out. You want to show her you've grown, that you're different now. You want her to see the pain you've endured and the man you've become because of it. But that urge isn't love. It's ego. It's the part of you that still craves her recognition to validate your evolution. But your growth isn't a performance. And you're not her safety net anymore. The Stoics would call this the ultimate discipline, to let someone feel the consequences of their choices without stepping in to rescue them. You're not here to absorb the fallout. You're not here to soothe the ache of someone who couldn't hold space for yours. Let her sit in it, not out of spite, but because healing requires discomfort. When you return too soon, when you try to be her closure, you rob both of you of the transformation that only silence can bring. Her regret isn't your responsibility. It's hers to carry, hers to unpack, hers to learn from. You're not the same man she left, and she has to meet that truth without you holding her hand through it. Let her remember who you were. Flawed, yes, but full of presence. Let her realize what she gave up, not because you told her, but because your absence now has shape, depth, meaning. Let the distance tell the story your words no longer need to. You don't need her to say she's sorry. You don't need to hear you were right. You just need to keep walking. With purpose, with poise, with the quiet dignity of someone who no longer ties his worth to being understood. That's how you become unforgettable, not by staying in her life, but by becoming someone whose peace she can no longer disturb. If you've stopped cushioning her consequences, Comment below. Her regret is hers. I rise beyond it. Number 10. Remain stoic, even at the end. She may come back, or maybe she never will. Maybe one day her name will light up your phone again, or maybe it'll just live on in the quiet places of your memory. Either way, you don't flinch, not anymore, because you've walked through the fire already, and you didn't come out looking for revenge. You came out refined. This is what it means to embody stoicism to the very end, not just in the silence, not just in the heartbreak, but in the aftermath. When you could lash out, when you could prove a point, when you could scream, "Look what I've become." But you don't, because none of it is necessary. The man you are now doesn't need recognition to validate growth, doesn't need an audience to confirm strength. What she sees, or doesn't see, is irrelevant. What matters is the internal stability you've earned, step by step, through every quiet morning you got up despite the ache, through every moment you chose purpose over reaction, movement over memory, control over chaos. You're not bitter. You're not hoping she hurts. You've just outgrown the need for her to understand. The closure you needed didn't come from her. It came from the moment you stopped waiting. From the moment you realized the most powerful revenge is indifference, not apathy, but the kind of inner peace that makes explanations unnecessary. There's no final monologue, no dramatic return, just a man who now walks differently, speaks less, thinks deeper, lives cleaner. You didn't just survive heartbreak, you mastered yourself inside it. And the version of you who once depended on her validation? He's long gone. So whether she circles back or vanishes into the life she chose, your course doesn't change. You've already turned the page, not to escape her, but because your story is finally yours again. You don't need to prove anything to her, because everything you've built now quietly speaks what your words no longer need to. That is stoicism, played out to the final breath of the chapter. No rage, no regret, just release and forward. If you've chosen peace over proving yourself, comment below. I owe her nothing. I owe myself everything. You started with pain, shocked, humiliated, doubting your own worth. But now you see clearly, she didn't outsmart you. She woke up a version of you that even you didn't know existed. She didn't take anything from you. She exposed where your power had been asleep. If you're ready to stay on this path of strength, growth, and clarity, like this video, subscribe and comment. I am unshakable. Keep rising, keep rebuilding. Your silence will echo louder than her games ever could.